Brought to you by WikiVidi.com. Planet of the Apes, 2001 film. Planet of the Apes is a 2001 American science fiction film directed by Tim Burton and starring Mark Wahlberg, Tim Roth, Helena Bonham Carter, Michael Clarke Duncan, Paul Giamatti, and Estella Warren. The sixth film produced in the Planet of the Apes franchise. It was loosely adapted from Pierre Boulle's 1963 novel of the same name and the 1968 film version. It tells the story of astronaut Leo Davidson crash landing on a planet inhabited by intelligent apes. The apes treat humans as slaves, but with the help of an ape named Ari, Leo starts a rebellion. Development for a Planet of the Apes remake started as far back as 1988. With Adam Rifkin, his project nearly reached the pre-production stage before being cancelled. Terry Hayes' script, titled Return of the Apes, would have starred Arnold Schwarzenegger under the direction of Phillip Noyce. Oliver Stone, Don Murphy, and Jane Hamsher were set to produce. Creative differences ensued between Hayes and financier, distributor 20th Century Fox. Chris Columbus, Sam Hamm, James Cameron, Peter Jackson, and the Hughes brothers later became involved with William Broyles, Jr.'s script. Burton was hired as director, and the film was put into active development. Lawrence Connor and Mark Rosenthal rewrote the script, and filming took place from November 2000 to April 2001. Planet of the Apes was released to mixed reviews, but was a financial success. Much criticism focused on the confusing plot and ending, although Rick Baker's prosthetic makeup designs were praised. Despite its financial success, 20th Century Fox chose not to produce a sequel, and later rebooted the franchise in 2011 with Rise of the Planet of the Apes. This version of Planet of the Apes won 3 Golden Raspberry Awards, the film for Worst Remake, Charlton Heston for Worst Supporting Actor, and Estella Warren for Worst Supporting Actress. Cast. Small roles include David Warner, Lisa Marie, Eric Avery, Luca Burl, Evan Park, Glenn Shadix, Frida Foh Shen, Chris Ellis and Anne Ramsey. There are also cameo appearances by Charlton Heston as Zaius, Thade's father, and Linda Harrison. Both participated in 2 original films in the series, Planet of the Apes and Beneath the Planet of the Apes as George Taylor and Nova, respectively. Late 1980s. 20th Century Fox president Craig Baumgarten was impressed with Adam Rifkin's filmmaking with Never on Tuesday. In 1988, Rifkin was brought in the studio to pitch ideas for films. Rifkin, being a fan of the 1968 Planet of the Apes, felt it was best to continue the film series. Having independent film experience, I promised I could write and direct a huge-looking film for a reasonable price and budget, like Aliens. Fox commissioned Rifkin to write what amounted to a sequel, but not a sequel to the 5th film, an alternate sequel to the first film. He took influences from Spartacus, with the storyline being the ape empire had reached its Roman era. A descendant of Charlton Heston's character named Duke would eventually lead a human slave revolt against the oppressive Romanesque apes, led by General Izan, a real sword and sandal spectacular, monkey style. Gladiator did the same movie without the ape costumes. Titled Return to the Planet of the Apes, the project was put on fast track and almost entered pre-production. Rick Baker was hired to design the prosthetic makeup, with Danny Elfman composing the film score. Tom Cruise and Charlie Sheen were in contention for the lead role. I can't accurately describe in words the utter euphoria I felt knowing that Adam Rifkin was going to be resurrecting the Planet of the Apes. It all seemed too good to be true. I soon found out it was. Days before the film was to commence pre-production, new studio executives arrived at Fox, which caused creative differences between Rifkin and the studio. Rifkin was commissioned to rewrite the script through various drafts. The project was abandoned until Peter Jackson and Fran Walsh pitched their own idea, with the apes going through a renaissance. In the story, the ape government becomes concerned over the new artworks. The humans are revolting and the liberal apes shelter a half-human, half-ape from the gorillas. Roddy McDowall was enthusiastic about their proposal and agreed to play the Leonardo da Vinci-type character they had written for him. However, the executive Jackson spoke to was not a fan of the series, and seemingly unaware of McDowall's involvement in the series, and Jackson turned his attention back to heavenly creatures. Oliver Stone. By 1993, Fox hired Don Murphy and Jane Hamsher as producers. Sam Raimi and Oliver Stone were being considered as possible directors, though Stone signed on as executive producer, co-writer with a $1 million salary. On the storyline, Stone explained in December 1993, "It has the discovery of cryogenically frozen Vedic apes who hold the secret numeric codes to the Bible that foretold the end of civilizations. It deals with past versus the future. My concept is that there's a code inscribed in the Bible that predicts all historical events. The apes were there at the beginning and figured it all out." Stone brought Terry Hayes to write the screenplay entitled Return of the Apes. Set in the near future, a plague is making humans extinct. Geneticist Will Robinson discovers the plague is a genetic time bomb embedded in the Stone Age. He time travels with a pregnant colleague named Billy Ray Diamond to a time when Paleolithic humans were at war for the future of the planet with highly evolved apes. The APA's supreme commander is a gorilla named Drac. Robinson and Billy Ray discover a young human girl named AIV to be the next step in evolution. It is revealed that it was the apes that created the virus to destroy the human race. They protect her from the virus, thus ensuring the survival of the human race 102,000 years later. Billy Ray gives birth to a baby boy named Adam. Fox president Peter Chernin called Return of the Apes one of the best scripts I ever read. Chernin was hoping Hayes's script would create a franchise that included sequels, spin-off television shows and merchandise. In March 1994, Arnold Schwarzenegger signed on as Will Robinson with the condition he had approval of director Chuck Russell was considered as a possible director before Phillip Noyce was hired in January 1995. While pre-production was nearing commencement with a $100 million budget, Stone first approached Rick Baker, who worked on Rifkin's failed remake, to design the prosthetic makeup, but eventually hired Stan Winston. Fox became frustrated by the distance between their approach and Hayes's interpretation of Stone's ideas. As producer Don Murphy put it, Terry wrote a Terminator and Fox wanted the Flintstones. Fox studio executive Dylan Sellers felt the script could be improved by comedy. What if Robinson finds himself in ape land and the apes are trying to play baseball, but they're missing one element, like the pitcher or something? Sellers continued, Robinson knows what they're missing and he shows them, and they all start playing. Sellers refused to give up his baseball scene, and when Hayes turned in the next script, Sans Baseball, Sellers fired him. Dissatisfied with Sellers' decision to fire Hayes, Noyce left Return of the Apes in February 1995 to work on The Saint. Thank you for watching. Brought to you by WikiVidi.com. Please like and subscribe below. Please like and subscribe below.